And welcome back to Close Up, everyone. We just heard from Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, and I'm joined now by Republican strategist Mike Dennehy and political analyst and also the head of New Hampshire Political Report, James Pindell. And guys, thanks very much for joining us, first of all.
Pleasure.
And you heard the governor say that he hasn't decided or even thinking about running for governor. But Mike, come on. I mean, he's been to Iowa, Florida, now New Hampshire. Who's he kidding?
Yeah, we're still within the first year of the president's first term, and we've got a guy here campaigning for Republicans, of course. But I think Tim Pawlenty is, we get the joke in New Hampshire, and I think he's seriously considering, if he's not already got his mind made up internally, that he's going to run for president.
If he runs, where does he fit, James, as a contender at this point? You know, I mean, no one knows. He concedes himself that no one outside of Minnesota really knows who he is.
Right, but no one else, at this point in time, no one knew who Howard Dean was, and he was making early trips in this time of the period. No one knew really who Mike Huckabee was, and he came out and won the Iowa caucuses. No one really knew who Bill Bradley was, except for those people who followed the Knicks, and those people from the New York tri-state area. Yeah, and who was John McCain? Absolutely. So he did all the right things. This is not, I must say, it's actually about right in terms of the calendar when a candidate should come. I think, according to my notes anyway, we've had a potential presidential candidate visit the state for every year going back to at least 1993. I don't know if it goes back even further than that. So it's not highly unusual that we'd have someone come out here to do this. It was obviously for his advantage, and I think his trip was really well put together. He met all the right people. He did all the right stops, and if you're going to do it, I think he did it right.
We have Romney from the east, and we have Sarah Palin and from the far west.
I think you can see Russia from her house.
Okay. And do you think, guys, that this is the Republican candidate from the Midwest?
No, I don't think he's going to be the only candidate from the Midwest. I think we're going to see, if things continue down this path for Republicans and the situation in Washington, and the controversy and legislation going on in Washington, if this continues, we're going to see a lot of Republicans running for president, and I think they'll be from all regions and a couple from the same region. So this is certainly not set in stone at all. Right now, I think the two candidates most talked about are Mitt Romney and Tim Pawlenty, because Sarah Palin hasn't really sent out signals that she's running. In fact, she sent out kind of mixed signals.
She's been in Hawaii this week.
It's very, very strange.
But she has been very much in the public eye with her book tour. But and people are talking, whether she's planning a run or not, people are talking about her as a potential candidate in 2012. But what she has to overcome, and Jim, you were a perfect example just a second ago, saying you can see Russia from her house. Mm-hmm. Are people prepared to take her seriously, even 3 years removed from the campaign?
Well, yeah, I think number one, you mentioned up the geographical differences. I think the real difference is going to be ideological. Number one, because this comes at a time when the Republican Party is trying to find its new way, its new path. And so there is a vacuum. And I think we will see a number of candidates. And it's hopefully for the Republican Party, you have a ton of candidates come out to have this vigorous argument. And then second way, I think this race right now, and this may not last, is defined by Sarah Palin. Who will be the anti-Sarah Palin? Will Sarah Palin even get off, the charts here? Remember, to put this in context, if we were having this conversation 4 years ago, we would be talking about Republican nominee Rudy Giuliani in terms of leading the national polls, though John McCain was certainly out there as a major force. But I think right now this race is defined by what she wants to do. But I don't think she gets to choose her own destiny. And in terms of whether or not we're making jokes about Sarah Palin, I think we find consistently that she is, I'm not going to go so far as maybe Mike, I don't think Mike would either, but so far as call her a non-starter in this state. But in Iowa and South Carolina, she does have a lot of support.
And even in New Hampshire, although there may not be people you would recognize who support her, she's overwhelmingly popular in different circles within the Republican Party. And as James said, ideologically, certainly in social conservative circles, she is someone to be reckoned with and can't be taken lightly. But I still think that it's going to be difficult for her to just swoop in at some point and try and rally her supporters and forces.
And you've said she hasn't made up her mind. I mean that's your opinion.
I mean, that's my opinion. Sure. And she's going to have to send out more concrete signals at some point in the next 6 months if she's going to do it.
Question for you, Mike, as Republican strategist. Obviously, Mike Huckabee faces a very serious challenge that he wasn't facing about a month ago, and that's the clemency issue involving Maurice Clemens, the man who's accused and was later shot and killed by police after he shot 4 police officers in Washington State. As a strategist, can he overcome that?
Fair or not, it's going to be very difficult for him to overcome. He's already himself said that he won't likely be running for president. So I think he's very well respected. I think he's a very likable guy, but that's going to be difficult for him to overcome. It's going to be such a big monkey on his back that I don't know if he can get it off.
What is the only course of action? Is it to lay low for a while and hope something else?
Definitely. But again, you know, we're still, people who are going to run for president really need to ratchet up their activity in the next 6 months.
Speaking of which, Mitt Romney has been very quiet. We haven't heard much about him except where he's actually going to set up primary residence. Do you expect Mitt Romney to start making some noise here in the next couple of months?
I think he has the similar advantages that Sarah Palin has. He's well known. He's got 100% name ID, and he's got a favorable image within the Republican Party, and he has time to wait. He doesn't have to do what Tim Pawlenty has to do and come to New Hampshire early and often, and other candidates who aren't well known. He's got very well known, and he's got strong credentials, and he came in a very close second to John McCain in New Hampshire. So I expect we'll see him in the next 6 months. But
well, look, Mitt Romney's got a book coming out, I think, in March, so he'll certainly be out there on the circuit. One thing that there is a difference between Mitt Romney, who I think honestly is the front runner right now, if we have to put one out in terms of putting everything together, and a Sarah Palin or a Tim Pawlenty. We know he has the ability to do it, to raise the money, to put together a credible campaign. He may still face questions about flip-flopping from the way he governed from Massachusetts to the presidential candidate that he became last time, but we know he'll be a credible, solid, on-message candidate, and these other candidates have not proven that ability. Maybe they will, but they hasn't proven the ability.